This is us. So, I'm Midnight Persona. I've been cosplaying since 2009. I was going to give you a number of how many cosplays I have, but we're probably reaching well over the 300s. Because I do a lot of like variations of stuff, and then I just have a lot of costumes. Anybody who actually follows my TikToks, there's like a new 3 to 4 costumes every week. But that's mostly like me using stuff I have in my closet, reusing, doing new makeups to kind of make new costumes and stuff like that. So.
I'm Prince Subaru Kamui. I had to look over to see what you put.
I'm sorry.
I've been cosplaying since 2006. I'm mostly a competitive cosplayer. So I probably have less closet cosplay, more competition wear cosplay.
We do a lot of competitions together too. But since I do so much TikTok, I do have a lot of like closet cosplays and just stuff to do makeup and have fun and stuff. So remember that this is just to make life easier on you. So work with yourself, not against. If some of these things don't work for you, don't do them. You know, take what you feel will help you organize and go with that. You know, mental and physical health is very important. So if it's too difficult for you to store things a certain way, or you have to make sure things are put together a certain way, once again, do what's good for you. You know, these are just tips and ways to kind of help. Yeah, having an easy to navigate space helps choose cosplays for future events. I've had a lot of times where friends have been like, I don't know what to wear, but they also have no idea where any of their cosplays are. So if you have them organized, if you get like randomly invited to like a little cosplay party or something, you'll know where your stuff is to figure out what you want to wear next. Or sometimes it just helps if you're like in a mood and you're like, I kind of want to just cosplay. You'll know what you want to pick by, you know, having better organization. And do what you can, do not push yourself. Like if you personally can't have 50,000 boxes in your house, or you can't have certain things set up a certain way, do what works for you. That's going to be a big emphasis, you know. Make sure that you work with yourself. Let me know if I'm going too fast. I'm nervous speaking a lot. So, the very first thing I wanted to talk about was wigs and headpieces. Wig heads are always a good place to store. You can store your wigs on your wig head if you have it stylized. I wouldn't suggest it if your wigs aren't styled, just because a wig head can take up a lot of space. A lot of people will store their wigs on shoe racks. Hey, welcome in. Sorry, I jumped straight into it. They'll use these types of shoe racks, or even the ones that have the little hooks on the end, where they can store. You're looking at me.
What?
Were you asking me something? Anyway, they have the little shoe racks put together so you can easily just slide your wigs into the spaces for the shoes, and you can just hang that on the back of your door so it doesn't take up too much space. I've seen a lot of people store their wigs that are stylized in shoe boxes, or reusing like Amazon boxes or things like that that are big enough to just kind of keep in a place. Plus, if you like use a lot of like boxes or like square containers, it's so much easier to stack them and keep them in one spot. Because if you have too many like different sizes, it gets a little difficult. I personally store my stuff with Ziploc bags and tubs. Being extra with it. So I have probably over 500 to 600 wigs.
That's not an exaggeration.
It's not.
Absolutely not. I am not lying. I use this, the 3-container rollout dresser, and I put every one of my wigs in a Ziploc bag, and I store them by color, number, what the length or like what the wig looks like, and then the character in parentheses at the bottom of what I use them for. So in case I'm like, say for this wig, this is a wig I used from Leo from Premiere. And I have it stored away under like a light glow green certain number. And then if I go, well, you know what will work? That wig will work for Oogie Boogie. So I go through my file and I kind of go, that's right, it was this number, and I can go and find it again. So that works for me, because once again, I like really nice organization. I have a document on my Google Drive that has every wig listed in their own little tables of what colors, and they have there on the side with the little content, so I can click green wigs, green 7, used for this, okay, it's in that tub. So that's how I organize my stuff. That's why I said being extra with it, because I have a lot. I do a lot. But cosplay is one of those things that's a hobby that keeps me really happy, so I have a lot. So let me know if there's any questions as I go on, or I'll just like keep going. So also there's a little bit of theme with the title. So for shoulders, the fit. So cosplays sometimes can get difficult to store, especially if you're like a lot of armor or they look like they're a certain shape and everything. I unfortunately haven't found the perfect way to store armor or anything, because I don't do a lot of armor cosplays, but a lot of friends that I know will have them in like tubs so they can stack easier with one another. Suga, you store Anthony in like a garment bag, right?
I haven't stored new Anthony. Old Anthony was in a garment bag, in a space bag that I rolled up, got the air out, and then it's in a big tub.
Yeah. And then like for closet cosplays or cosplay, like if I get a certain shirt for a cosplay and I know it's something I can wear, normally I'll just put it with my clothes in between my closet. And as for the tubs, this is gonna be a running theme. For the tubs, I have my cosplays in a space bag with a label on it that say what the cosplay is, what pieces are in it, so that way if I say like I did Hawks earlier, or Hawks from Hero Academia, and he has a specific pair of sunglasses, I'll go, well those sunglasses will work for this character, so let me go find Hawks, pull them out, pull out those sunglasses, leave it out so that way I don't forget to put them back, and then so on and so forth. Everything I have is labeled neatly with a document that has everything that I have, because sometimes I also forget what cosplays I've done. And if it's like a big cosplay that I made, I want to make sure I have it, all the pieces together. So if I'm going to compete with it again, or if I have a con I want to specifically wear it to because it has a theme, I can find all the pieces together. Knees, which I know not all accessories go at the knees, but I said there was a theme. Same, it's a running kind of thing in tubs. A lot of times I'll find like thrifted containers that might fit for certain accessories. Like for props, I find like an umbrella container, because if they're long swords, you can just put a bunch of swords in one umbrella container and kind of have it in the corner. I do the same thing with a lot of my like longer props and things like that. I like to go to Michael's and get those shoe boxes just because I think they're pretty when they're on sale, and then I'll store all my container or like all my pieces like bows or headbands or certain things together, and then those are labeled and put on a shelf so I can find them easier. But I've learned that boxes are very helpful because they stack very easily, and it's just so much easier to label them to know where they are. The being extra is, once again, everything's labeled in its place with the name and where I used it and what I used it for, so it's much easier for me to find it for each cosplay, because I reuse a lot of my cosplay pieces for other cosplays. And toes. For shoes, using the same kind of shoe rack for the back of your door. The back of the door shoe racks are like heaven sent if you have so many different types of shoes for cosplays, because especially in animes they have dumb feetwear and stuff that just doesn't make sense, and like how they even walk around with it. So you end up having to use different shoes for each cosplay sometimes, especially if you do craftsmanship. I have the small rolly container, the flat one, that goes under my bed. So it gives me a little bit more space in my room that I'll line my shoes up in and then roll it under the bed. So I can easily find what shoes for what. And a lot of times, of course, I reuse shoes if I can, because I can't stand or walk for too long. I have a lot of leg problems. So I will end up using a lot of flats and things like that, but they tend to be stored underneath my bed because it's easier. And then tugs. My shoes are shockingly not labeled. They're just put in a tub away under my bed. But I do have like a few tubs in my own storage of different shoes that I used for cosplays and things like that. I know I'm blazing through. This is a little bit of an example of my closet. Like I said, I have those bins. I have about 5 of those 3-drawer bins. And as an example, like I said, I'm not lying. That's labeled black wigs, black and gray wigs, and mixed color wigs, like rainbow colors and things like that. I have a few more that's just green, red, orange, all labeled differently with those wigs in with the label of the name of the wig and the color and everything. So I'm not lying when I say like I have way too many. I also use the top drawers to store like my belt accessories, my gloves are in the second one, and then I have like everything organized out like that. Those are the bins that I have all my cosplays in, labeled by name, and they're all in space bags, or I'll reuse bags, like if I order something and the Ziploc bag is nice, I'll just take it, relabel it, and put a cosplay in it so it's easy to just store away. And that way I don't have to buy extra Ziploc bags or space bags. I just got it from something I got on Amazon, so I slip it away. I also use hooks on the back of my closet door to store my ears or other little accessories like that. As you can see, the puppet mask. I cosplay Blue's Clues, so that's a Blue's Clues headband and a bunch of different like cat and animal characters. So there's just these tiny, where are they from? I can't remember the name of the company, but they're just small hooks that you...
Command hooks?
I think so, the command hooks. So they have the sticky on the back that if you won't rip your wall or anything like that, that people will use for paintings or whatever that they put up. I just use it for my cosplay stuff because it's easier that way and I won't destroy my wall. Resources, Amazon, Walmart. Thrift stores are very, very helpful because they have a lot of discount days and a lot of days where you can just go in, you know, get things for like 50 cents or $1, and it's really, really easy to find. Reusing wig bags and reusing Amazon boxes, like I said, I will take if I bought a wig and I can just reuse that same bag the wig was in, or if it's too small, I might switch it for a different wig and things like that. So reusing stuff is also a really big lifesaver because obviously we don't have money to constantly be spending on all this stuff. A lot of the 3 drawers too were like donated to me by like my mom who had a business, and she was like, I don't need these anymore. I'm like, good, I'll take them. And she had a few different organization things that I took. And then learn how to play Tetris. If you don't have space in your closet, learn how to stack things properly in a way that doesn't hurt you, of course, because you won't pull something down and it just falls all over you. But that's the thing we learn like when we're driving. Play Tetris. Put things in certain spots so they can fit, so you can make more room for yourself. And it's a skill to learn, but it's very, very helpful. Don't be afraid to reuse things. Like I said, you don't have to be as crazy as me with labeling things, but labeling stuff has saved my life when I really need to figure something out or find something, especially since sometimes my friends like to borrow my wigs, and then I put like a little note like, friend borrowed this wig at this time with this, so I don't just forget, because I also get forgetful sometimes, and I'm like, I swear I had 2 blonde wigs like this, but the other ones just vanished, you know. And I have checkups. I will sometimes get into a rut where I don't feel like organizing. So I'll just go back into my closet, check on everything to make sure wigs aren't like, sometimes wigs get like a stale feeling when they've been in the bag for too long and you haven't kind of like aired them out or like brushed through them and stuff, especially if they're styled, because having all that glue in a wig and just stuck in a bag sometimes can be a problem. So brushing through them, washing them, and making sure everything is like okay, and just checking up on your cosplays from time to time so they can get fresh air too. So this is normally a Q&A, but I put sharing circle, and since anybody else has any tips or wants to talk about their own like ways they organize their stuff, if it's helpful or you haven't heard it or you have any questions, it's okay if you don't, but if you do, feel free to ask anything. Like I said, I blazed through this pretty fast because it's just a fun little thing. What's that?
I really like the idea of just making a list of all the stuff you have on you.
Yeah.
Mix and match, like, oh, I have this thing with certain character, this thing like that. Like, that's already, I'm like thinking about making a list of my stuff. Thank you for that.
Okay, cool. I'm glad I could help because I know also how frustrating it can be when you just like, you get a cosplay and you're super excited about it, and then you get done with it and you just kind of toss it somewhere, and then you lose pieces to it, and you're like, maybe I should have put that back in a bag. And so when I finally get the chance to do it, I'll be like, let me make sure I know what's in this, so I don't run off with like missing pieces of like a Futaba cosplay, and I'm like, wait, I don't have headphones anymore. I don't know where I put those, you know. So yeah, I'm happy that helps. There was something someone told me this morning that was a really good idea, but I don't remember what it was, because it was about storing fabric too. Oh, if you are a seamstress, or seamster, and you do craftsmanship, someone once gave me the advice of, if you go to the dollar store and you buy those science boards, the 3-panel ones, and you cut them into 4s, you can take your fabric and roll it on it like a bolt. And then if you put them in a tub, the advice I got this morning was, you can take a small swatch and label that bolt, put the swatch of the fabric in a book, and then be able to say, okay, this was the feeling of the one I liked and the color of the one I liked. This was the name it was under, and you could just go through your fabric and pull out that one.
That's genius.
Right? I was like, I didn't think about that. I just have 2 like tubs with like one's patterns and one's solids, and now I'm like, I have to go home and reorganize. So I thought that was a really ingenious idea. No, no one's talking. Okay. Any more questions?
I will ask, how would you go about storing like necklaces?
Okay, with necklaces, I should have taken a picture of that too.
Should have.
So do you know those, there are a lot of craft stores, they're essentially like a flat container, they come with the little squares, and you can like put the squares in any way you want. I have like 3 of those, and I leave a line of them in and just lay the necklaces down flat and put them together like that. And if they're like individual for a costume, I'll put them in a like jewelry box and put them with the costume, because I don't want to lose it. Like I have Leo's premiere earrings, and they're with him because I'm like, I can't, that's only for him, you know? But for the necklaces, I use those boxes, and then labeling, so I know what's in it, you know. I do the same thing with earrings. I use that same box, but I use every square and then individually separate them. But they also do have jewelry boxes. That was just cheaper for me because I already had them, so it was easy to just take that out of my closet and just organize it that way.
Also, just pointing out, I have a scarf hanger, and I just hang all my necklaces on that, and then it just goes in my closet as a jigsaw scarf.
That's a good idea.
I use push pins. I have little push pins in a row on my wall, and I can just hang the necklace, and I don't have to worry about it getting tangled or anything, and I can just see every single one I have.
I actually do that for my regular necklaces. I should do it for my cosplay ones, but because I have so many specifically for cosplay, I just put them away. But for my regular necklaces, I have a cork board and I have push pins across it, and I just lay them up. So, for everyday ones. But that works perfectly fine too.
Also doing the same for my earrings. I put 2 push pins, and then I put a necklace chain across it, and just hung my earrings on the necklace chain.
That's a good idea too. That reminded me. So I like wearing a lot of bows, and they tend to have little clips in the back. So I took a piece of elastic and cut it, and then I pushed it up and down, and I just clipped the bows across it all the way down, so I could just pull one off whenever I want to wear it. So, and I do that for a few head pieces, but most of the ones with the clips, because it's easier to just slide it onto the elastic. Plus, you don't have to use a lot of elastic because you just stretch that thing across. So, I'm trying to think, is there any other ways I store things that are just like weird things that I do that I didn't think anybody else did. But if anybody has any more questions or just wants to share too.
Do you have an example of your spreadsheets?
Not in here, but if I can take my phone, did I give you my phone?
I don't know.
Your fanny pack problem.
It probably is my phone.